Welcome into Heating Up, episode 12, but this is going to be another kind of Auburn only episode. Our teammates did not join. It's late night, though, and we knew this was going to be kind of an extra thing. But really, regardless of the outcome, I wanted to get on and do some kind of Iron Bowl of basketball reaction show. So we won't have watched the game twice like we have a lot of other times. We won't have really dove into some of the statistics like we do other times. We'll react to some of it, but this is just us getting on talking. I got Cody and Ed with me if you're listening on the podcast. So hopefully this will give you something on your way to work this morning. You can go back and listen if you're an Auburn fan and kind of hear some thoughts on the game. So let's just jump right into it. Cody, you were watching this game on TV while Ed and I got the privilege to be there. Talk to me about how you're feeling going to the game. You're just at your house, kind of getting ready. 8 o'clock is a long time to wait on this basketball game. How are you feeling?
Well, yeah, so waiting so long kind of started playing into my psyche a little bit. I was pretty confident as the early during the day, but then I was sitting there about 6 o'clock. I was like, they look really good against Baylor, and I could just really see us dropping this one and whatnot. But obviously proved me wrong. It looked like we were ready to play from the jump.
Same question to you, Ed. You got to travel a little bit today, spent some time in the car like I did. I listened to some other podcasts and stuff, but 8 o'clock, I know both of us were looking at each other about 5:30. We're like, hey, is this about time to head over to the arena yet? And it wasn't quite time, but what are your thoughts going into the game today?
Man, I think I was the same thing as Cody. The more I thought about it, I was like, the less confident I got. Just because your Alabama's coming off that big win, and just what they were able to do with their guards, and we knew, the game plan coming in is, can we slow them down? And I don't think we really did slow them down too much. I mean, Shaq and JQ both went off, but I'm glad we were able to kind of have a good game plan. Thank God we'd made some adjustments therein, but I knew it was going to be tough. Did not expect us, honestly, to win for as much as we did. And, at one point, we looked at each other and was like, man, it just doesn't feel like we're up as much as we are. We just, because Bama just kept on coming and coming. But, glad we were able to pull out this W.
I felt the same as y'all, but and I want to give our guy Clip some credit. He was telling us all day, hey, we didn't play that well last time. We beat them in Tuscaloosa. Auburn's got a good chance. We just feel like we're better than this team. We got more weapons, more options. And I think that proved out. I felt a little better as soon as I got in the arena. I mean, it was an hour and a half before, and the students were slammed. There's a bunch of football players in the crowd. The scholarship section was just jammed with people, and everybody seemed excited, fired up. I know we keep joking about they were there to see Kentucky play or not the other day, but it was a very similar atmosphere. It was not a lot different on a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. It felt a little extra oomph to me because it's on ESPN and Jay Billis is calling the game, and or Marty Smith, the SEC Network, NASCAR guys over in the crowd. It was just a highlight show, I felt like. And all day I was watching ESPN and it was popping up about this game. And so it's just really cool. And although it wasn't as close as the last one, there wasn't as much drama late. I feel like overall, and of course I'm biased, but overall I felt like it was an entertaining basketball game. If I was just tuning in, I would feel like I got my money's worth in that one.
I 100% agree. I think there was, both teams went on good runs. Both teams had some highlight plays. So, I think the game lived up to it. Obviously, the score is not as close as maybe, we like it, but as close as it looked or felt to me, at least, being in person.
So yeah. 181. I mean, that feels like it was a pretty convincing victory. And it got to 2. I think that's right. It got to 2 in the second half, but we stretched it out pretty quickly. And all of a sudden it was 10 after that. And it really felt like it was like a 1 or 2 possession game, but we were up 10. I think Katie Johnson had a lot to do with that. And then Walker Kessler obviously affecting everything on the other end. But Cody, when did you feel that the game kind of stretched out at all?
Well, just so it took a heroic effort from Shaq. I mean, it was an awesome game by him. I mean, so what it felt like to me was, even though we kind of let it slip, we were able to get easier baskets than Bama. Bama was hitting a lot of really high difficulty shots and some ridiculous shot making by, like I said, Shaq earlier. But yeah, like you said, coming out of the half, we're kind of sluggish, and then KD came out with a couple of defensive stops, and what did they do? So did they started off with Zepp and KD, right, coming out of half, and then did Wendell come in really quickly?
Like
17
something.
Yeah, well, okay, because I felt like Wendell made a couple really key like interior passes that I think it was like Kessler, and I think maybe somebody else was cutting inside. Anyway, it was like really big buckets, and it was kind of like set us back on our path, getting good easy shots at the rim.
Yeah, I'm just looking back at the box score a little bit, and I mean Auburn is just a deeper, more talented team than Alabama right now. It's not coaching, and we'll get into some of the adjustments that were made that I think were clutch, but I mean, you just look down the list at the guys who played 20 plus minutes, and whether it be Kessler or Jabari or Allen Flanagan threw in 10 points tonight. KD Johnson, Wendell had the great game. Devin Cambridge, 18 minutes. I thought he played really, really well. And then you look at Alabama, and after Shackelford and Quinterly, the next leading scorer was Noah Gurley with 11 points in 14 minutes, and I barely remember him even being in the game. Like, they just don't have near as many weapons. I mean, who was the guy that y'all feel like outside of those two guards had to step up and play a big-time game for them to have a chance to win this thing? And obviously they didn't.
The first one that comes to mind was Ellis. I think you and me talked about it. He kind of disappeared a little bit. It's always two guards that are playing well, whether it's JD and somebody else and Shaq or whoever. But when they got three going, because Ellis got some good looks and just missed them. So, and I think he never got in rhythm. We got him in foul trouble early, so probably has to do a little bit of that. But with him not being in rhythm, and honestly, they probably missed his presence more defensively than offensively. But yeah, I felt like Ellis really was the guy I was thinking. Who's going to be that third guard, whether it's Ellis or JD, and really we never saw either of them really get going.
Just real quick, his stat line, Keon Ellis played 28 minutes. He was 3 of 11 from the field. That included 3 of 7 from the three-point line. So that means, he took 4 shots that were twos and did not make them. 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 1 turnover. Like you said, 4 fouls. I mean, he played okay, not efficiently, but he played okay and checked some boxes, So I'm not saying he just had to do more, I guess is what you were saying, Ed. Who is somebody, Cody, that you're thinking before the game even started needed to do something big for Alabama to win this thing?
Well, so obviously our strength is we're a more complete team, and our front line is a lot deeper than Bama's. And when Dylan Cardwell comes in, he plays like all SEC top center when against Alabama for some reason. He just has their number. But I thought Bediako really competed actually. Even though his stat lines didn't show it, he got a couple of rebounds and stuff, especially when they're making their run. But I don't know. So I kind of just penciled in Keon Ellis was going to be like, he's going to have his stat line. And then you had to pick 2 of the 3, either be Shaq, JD, or Quinterly. And then I thought, maybe we might see a pop again from Gary like we did early in the season. But I don't know. They really, really struggle with trying to find that next offensive option. And that's kind of been the case all year.
Yeah, I think Ed and I both agree that we thought Bediako did okay. I would like to see him out there a little bit more.
Yeah, he competed today.
Yeah, I agreed. He had some big blocks. I thought he just protected the rim really, really well. And, whenever he wasn't in the game, you had a Rojas or a Gurley. That's whenever we started, getting a little bit some oops or, being able to get in the lane a little bit. He just didn't have that person. I think he had a huge block on Flanagan and somebody else he contested at the rim. So it was just when he wasn't out there, you even offensively as well, especially when we went into that zone, having Bediako out there, I think, having somebody you can throw over the top, I think back to like Dante Hall or somebody like that they've had in the past, they can just hit that short corner oop and dunk. So whenever he wasn't in the game, you just felt that presence that he wasn't, that they needed somebody to protect the rim or be able to get an easy bucket.
I second that. We said it over and over while we were watching the game is they had no vertical threat. Like Auburn, anytime you're driving in, you got to be ready for multiple guys to catch a lob at any moment. And you don't have to do that when you're playing Alabama. And another thing is, going back to Keon Ellis for a minute, is he's never going to be a big-time creator of his own shot. So I think some of that is either on the offense or on the other 2 guards to set him up a little bit. I know he missed a couple shots, but they're not really setting him up. I mean, when they're cooking, Quinterly and Shackford, they're creating for themselves over and over and over, and they're going to have a few assists. Sometimes it's just a one more to each other, but they don't really create that much for others. And I don't think their offense lends itself to creating for others. I think it's about spreading out and attacking, and it's hard to complain when they're scoring in the 80s, but I just think overall there wasn't enough threats out there. To me, for somebody to step up, it was going to be one of those role guys hitting threes. I thought if it was Noah Gurley stepping out and hitting some shots, or if Miles got hot, or even if Davidson maybe steps up and makes a couple shots. I feel like my thing was the guards are going to have to play really well. They're going to have to hope we play sloppy. They play really good defense and we don't get going. And somebody on their team is going to have to step up and knock down a couple threes. And if you look at the threes, Gary didn't take one. Ellis was 3 of 7, but I really meant one of the other guys. Rojas was 1 of 2. Miles was 1 of 3. Gurley was 2 of 3. So, I mean, they really shot it okay. They didn't get a lot of opportunities. I mean, the big thing that jumps out to me, if we stay on Alabama for a minute, J.D. Davidson, who I'm always raving about, 24 minutes, 0 of 5 from the field, including 0 of 3, 0 rebounds, did have 4 assists, but only 0 points, 24 minutes. That's a huge black mark on this game.
He looked like a completely different player. Like coming off that Baylor win against, or Bama had against Baylor, JD was awesome. And I mean, tonight he was a no-show. I don't know.
It started with KD, man.
Yeah, okay,
that first play down the game.
Put the clamps on him right there at the beginning and set the tone. But I don't know what it was. Like he was missing like easy, like 5-footers, that's stuff that he makes all the time. I don't know if it was our defensive scheme had him flustered or what, but he was, like you said, a no-show.
Let's get into the Auburn guard play a little bit. We got to start with Wendell Green, right? He didn't start again. They're still going to do the 6-man stuff, but he played 27 minutes. He was 8 of 17 from the floor, only 2 of 8 from the 3-point line, but he's 5 of 5 from the free throw line. He pulled down 8 rebounds, which is huge, and 6 assists, 23 points overall. Either of y'all, tell me your take on Wendell Green in this game.
Man, it was just like offensively when he came in the first half, he just went to work. He just started pushing the tempo a little bit. That pick and roll with Kessler. I think we were fortunate a little bit at the beginning, but man, he started getting in there, had some crafty layups, over, contested layups over, I think with Bidiaco, even when somebody was out, they were just kind of so worried about that oop to Kessler that he was able to get in there and really finish around the rim really, really well. So, I thought he forced some shots from the 3-point line. I mean, they were deep. I know he makes those quite often, but there was just a few times, even KD did it as well, where I thought, man, just drive the guy when they had a big guy on him. But I'm overall pleased, he came in and gave us a little extra firepower and some energy on the offensive end.
Well, let me ask you, do you not think he kind of does that on purpose? I feel like he really does try to drag out the help side defender a lot. So they got to really respect that shot all the way up out to 35 plus feet.
No, I think that's part of it when he comes off that.
Too.
Yeah, because there was, I think 2 or 3 threes that he shot there. They were clean looks. He just missed them.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of it.
Quinterly was going under because he was at 30 feet out, and so he still said, "Hey, if you go under, I'm shooting."
But he also, I mean, like that's so what Wendell's so awesome at is like how he operates, how he creates a lot of space up at the top of the key, and then is able to find the lob. Obviously, it's most of the time Kessler, but I really do think that's because they have to respect his shot from so far out. You put a lot of pressure on defense coming off that screen, way out, way out. And I think a lot of those shots are just to say, hey, you got to respect me out here. You got to respect this and really play some defense out here.
Yeah, and I think that really spaces it out. When he does pull that way and that guard is trying really hard, if it's not Kessler because somebody had to help, now you're finding a Jabari or a KD on the wing. Just kind of spaces out the floor. So
yeah,
even if he's not hitting, I think it's still putting pressure on the defense.
Let's move to KD Johnson a little bit because I thought that was another special performance by him. Nothing really, really jumps out in the stat column. He played 33 minutes at a very high level of intensity and effort. That steps out, that jumps out to me. He was 3 of 9 from the field, only 1 of 5 from the 3-point line. The one was a big kind of led to a timeout by Alabama. The pump fake step, getaway dribble, knock it down. He was 6 of 8 from the free throw line. I thought he missed a couple more than that. That surprises me. He had 5 rebounds, helped out right there, 2 assists, 1 steal, 13 points overall. I mean, every time you need something big to happen, it just seems like KD Johnson is the guy to make it happen. What is that, just a total mental thing where he just has that chip on his shoulder and that ultimate confidence? Like I was telling Edgardo at the game that there was this one play, I'm trying to remember, it was early in the second half, and that we set a screen to get Shackelford on Jabari. Shackelford had 2 fouls, and they were trying to get a third one on him. And instead of making that pass down to Jabari, KD made a little move and shot a deep 3 over somebody, and he missed, and it rimmed out. But I said, you know what? You live with that, because there's going to be some times that he's not scared to take that shot. And there were times today, I think it was more the driving in. He made a couple of drives and a couple of defensive plays that really just took it out of Alabama, I thought. Any thoughts other than just the normal old KD stuff for y'all?
Well, I feel like as Auburn fans, we've lived through the Jared Harper and Bryce Brown days, and we've seen some really good guards in Shreve come through Auburn here as of recent. But a lot of their finishing ability is a lot of it was based in transition, in my opinion, and also they could knock down shots. What we have in this team is Wendell proved it tonight, and I feel like he's been proving it during the year, and also KD has been proving it. I don't know. This is probably AAU in 8th grade. The difficulty of shots that they can make at the rim via layups and stuff. That's something I don't think we've always kind of struggled with our smaller guards doing. I think that's adding another level to our game where I don't, when KD's going in there, I'm like, that guy might make that shot every time. And, Wendell is savvy enough to where he's pulling out some shots. You got to respect his floater. You got to respect the lob. And all of a sudden he might go up underneath you and hit a layup. That's a luxury that we haven't had as Auburn fans, as good as our guard play has been. I think that these two guys really feast when, especially like in tournament play, when things kind of start breaking down and stuff and all hell breaks loose. I feel pretty confident those guys taking the ball to the rim in a half court setting.
I agree. I think one thing that probably doesn't show up on the stat line is the pressure. I'm trying to think. I can think of 2 or 3, fouls he was able to put on Alabama just because of pressure of him just driving to the hole. He shot 8 free throws, and Jabari shot the most with 9. But that creates offense. Shot 6 from 8, shot well, and then being able to put that pressure on Alabama. Now you got Keon Ellis and Shaq and some of those guys in foul trouble. So I think that speaks to what he can do offensively. Sometimes it's not pretty, and sometimes it's like you're scratching your head like, man, why'd you do that? But I'll take it 8 out of 10 times. It seems to work. So definitely something that's unique in what KD can do and the energy he can bring and kind of the pressure he can put on offense on the defensive team.
Yeah, there was 2 times tonight they showed replays, and he's like a heat-seeking missile looking for contact. and then 30% of the time he might finish that layup. It's crazy. How do you guard that?
Hey, while we're always talking Auburn guards, can I just give a shout out to Samir Dowdy? I think COVID really screwed over his end of his career. He was absolutely cooking that whole year, but especially at the end, Samir was like 25 points a game at the end of the season. And talk about, he is the last guy that you could just give the basketball to and get a bucket late in the shot clock. I mean, that dude could really, really play. I think we forget about him sometimes.
Good point. That's kind of the antithesis of my argument there, because he was like the ultimate half court get a bucket.
He was smooth with it, man. He was just like, he never got moving too fast. KD, I think it's KD's just one speed.
And I'm not saying he's like KD, but I just want to give him a shout out because and honestly, Javon McCormick on that same team made a bunch of big plays late in games by a little bit of that KD of just getting downhill and coming off that ball screen and heading to the rim and making something happen. But we've been saying it all year. There are just so many more options, so many ways for Auburn to win. is this the best game on the wing that we've gotten? If you combine how Allen Flanagan and Devin Cambridge played, whether it be scoring or defense or rebounding, just quickly their stat line. Al played 23 minutes. He was 3 of 8 from the field, 0 of 2 from the 3-point line, 4 of 6 from the free throw line. Only brought down 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 10 points. Devin Cambridge played 18 minutes, 2 of 4 from the field, 1 of 2 from the 3 of 4 from the free throw line, 6 rebounds. It's just the hustle keeps happening. 8 points. Nothing just super special, but I think that was a really solid game that we got when you combine what Flanagan and Devin Cambridge did tonight.
100%.
Let me real quick. Like, do you not think? And I don't know if I'm just biased or just what, but sometimes those guys jump out to me more than Keon Ellis does. Like, if Keon Ellis could have done a couple more things that Devin Cambridge did tonight, like going in there and grabbing a couple more rebounds or helping out a little bit more, or Allen Flanagan made a couple ISO plays that he gives you and gives this team another thing. If Keon Ellis could do what those two guys do, I think Alabama has a better team.
Like you just said, absolutely. Devin Cambridge won us the Missouri game, in my opinion. I mean, just with those extra, the offensive rebounds he didn't get, he was tapping it out to our guys. But, just to gloat on what Devin Cambridge has done, as talented as this team is, that guy could have easily went to not be seen any minutes. But you have to play that guy 18 minutes because he, like you said, he knows his role and he's going to get boards. He's going to hit 1-3 game, but he knows his role so well. Like Keon Ellis, maybe because we're grading him on a different scale because we're really, he has to create a lot in Alabama's system, which is maybe unfair to him. Who knows? But Devin Cambridge is a master of what system he's in and how to play in that system and how valuable he is in that system. And I'm not sure he
dribbled the ball all night.
No.
Think about that. I think he played 18 minutes and I'm not sure he dribbled the basketball.
Yeah.
That's his role. And I think, you look at Ellis and you look at Cambridge and they probably have a lot of the same body type. And you can argue Ellis might be a little bit better shooter. I don't know. I haven't watched enough of that, but I'm with you on that, Al. I mean, I think Ellis can and does bring that effort defensively. When Cambridge comes in, he's going to crash the boards. He's going to, try to out-athlete somebody and be really good on the defensive end. So I think Ellis can do that. Plus, I think he probably has a better shot than Devin. But even Flam, it's finally good for him to have just one solid game from start to end. I can't think of, a play. Maybe the fact that he tried to dunk it and not lay it when Bediako blocked it, but that's just us being picky. But I think he just had a solid game all the way around. So it's good for him. Hopefully we can start building some momentum and some confidence for him. But it was nice whenever we had a squad out there of not very good offensively on half court. We were able to get something going for Flan, so that was good to see.
Let's stay on the individual player thing then. Let's jump to the 4 spot with Jalen and Jabari. First of all, I didn't really think we got much out of Jalen in that game. Let me look at his stat line real quick. He played 15 minutes. He was 1 of 2 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, had 1 rebound, 1 assist, 4 points. Jabari only played 24 minutes, and he was 5 of 10 from the field, 1 of 2 from the 3-point line, 6 of 9 free throw line, 5 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, 17 points. Just overall reactions to the play by either of those guys?
Man, I thought it was a quiet 17 from Jabari. What was he from the free throw line? 6 of 9.
6 of 9. That's low for him.
Yeah. So he usually shoots the free throw a lot better than that. But
I think we're even affected more by that because his first 2 he made, they rolled around the rim and they just weren't pretty, all net like he usually does.
Right. No, and we went to him early. You and me were talking about it, man. Like, man, we're really going to Jabari just because he's a tough matchup, and I liked how aggressive we were, but at the same time, I was like, man, yeah, he's Jabari, but I like it when we just kind of flow into offense. We're just kind of isolating him, but again, putting pressure on the defense. He was able to get 2 or 3 fouls in Alabama, and If he hits those free throws, those probably a little bit more impactful. So Jalen, I thought we got some good minutes out of Jalen. Maybe I would like to see maybe him posting up. I think JD was guarding him at some point. So, I thought we could have used that a little bit more down low and really got some momentum going for him. But nothing tremendous stood out from Jalen perspective. I thought just some solid 15 minutes for, give somebody a breather.
I'm with you on Jabari, like how just going to him early and isolating him like that kind of put Alabama on their heels a little bit. Like they did an okay job, but it was like, hey, we're coming right back at you and you can't guard him. And I thought they did a good job of making him catch the ball further away from the basket. There were some tough catches for him, and he was like at the 3-point line or outside sometimes. So I thought they did okay, but at the end of the day, they didn't have anybody that could do that matchup. Cody, what were your thoughts on Jabari's play?
Well, maybe I'm remembering wrong, but I kind of disagree with you guys. I felt like kind of when we started running away with in the first half, Jabari hit a pretty hard shot about at mid range, and then he came down and hit a ridiculous one. He got fouled. Y'all probably couldn't tell in the arena, but he definitely got fouled. They didn't call it. He hit another one, and then he made a defensive block. And at a three, like really close, or right when we were about kind of took off and started adding to our lead, I thought Jabari was kind of like maybe the fulcrum to what our offensive performance in the first half, where we kind of got a lead going into the last 2 minutes of the game. He did have a quiet second half and kind of like going into the half, but as far as there was a stretch there, I was like, oh yeah, obviously this is why he's probably gonna be the first pick in the draft or second or whatever it may be. But it was some high caliber basketball being played by him, and I thought
both ends too, right?
Well, that's
defensively, he was good.
That's why I was kind of shocked that y'all said that, because maybe it was only because it was like a 5-minute stretch, but it was a pretty awesome 5-minute stretch by him. I put in our group message, I was like, God, Jabari's so good just because of how he's playing.
Yeah, that's one thing about Jabari. I mean, 17 points, but he does impact the game defensively as well. And, stretches the floor just because of how much of a threat he can be. How he set 7-8 minutes after the scuffle or whatever the heck that was between him and Ellis, whoever that, they might have been Ellis or Shaq, whoever, but he sat for a little while there. And I mean, maybe that's kind of what I'm thinking of. We didn't see him on the court for, 6, 7, 8 minutes. So, we were able to kind of contest and build a lead back up. So that's probably kind of impacted some of my perspective on that.
No, I mean, I thought he played well. I didn't think he played poorly, but that's one I'd like to go back and watch a little bit, because I feel like sometimes Jabari gets into we're either going to him or we're not type of thing. It's either, hey, a couple possessions in a row and he's getting touches and he's making something happen, and he doesn't float because he makes plays on defense and he's out there and could catch and shoot at any time. So the guy's got to be out there on him. But then I feel like all of a sudden it's Wendell and Kessler going ball screen a few times in a row. And then it's maybe even Flan getting a look. So maybe that's why. And maybe we don't do a lot of Jabari ball screening. We do some, and I think that's something that we'll grow more into, because that pick and pop's going to be hard to handle. But I thought he played well. But, hey, I can't go any further without talking about Walker Kessler, because I thought he was fantastic again and completely changes the game. He is so much different than anybody else. He is just different. And if Alabama had a Walker Kessler, they might be number one team in the country. Like, he has that kind of impact to me. Just briefly, his stat line: 14 points, 12 rebounds, 8 blocks, 4 steals. He's only 6 of 9 from the field. He didn't take any. He took that one deep three that the roof would have come off the place if he would have made. But he was just so freaking solid on both ends. He changes the game defensively. You're going to have to find somebody, to me, that's the defensive player of the year over Walker Kessler, because he changes complete strategies by the other team. Like, the guards would drive in and they wouldn't know what to do, and he'd just step out and block their freaking jump shot from 10 feet. It's incredible. Somebody else talk about Walker Kessler, because I don't know what else to say.
I just multiple times watching him play, I'm like, how in the world did North Carolina not see this guy's potential? Like you just said, like guards, there was a time during this game where Keon Ellis had won the ISO, but he was guarding up Keon Ellis. Keon Ellis may move, and you're like, oh, you got to toast the big guy. You got to toast the big guy. You got to get to the rim. Nah, I think he settled for like a 10-footer, and then Kessler put a fingertip on it, and then he touched the rim. I don't. That's a skill. Like, I don't like, it's really hard to block a basketball shot. You play defense, and then, oh yeah, I got to remember to go block a basketball shot. And his ability to do it on anybody and whatever the circumstances, his body control is crazy. I don't know. I don't know how to project him going forward, because he is so awesome for our team. Like you said, just changes everything offensively, defensively, projection of our team and how we end up. But going forward, it's just like, he's kind of unparalleled. I don't know.
And he should have had 9 blocks because he got screwed on that one call. He pinned on the backboard that they called a foul on him. Yeah. But he's doing better. Like Ed and I were talking about at the game, it seemed to us like, because Auburn likes to down ball screens or ice them. And so you force them to Kessler and funnel them to him. And Alabama said, okay, we're going to do that. And we're going to go right at him and try to get him in foul trouble. He didn't let that happen. I think that's the next step for Walker Kessler. And they've realized it, and he's been coached it. And obviously he's a very coachable kid, because it seems like when things happen, they don't happen a second and third time. Are y'all seeing that, or is that just me?
No, that's 100%. I think that's from, it's been 22 games, but his just ability to impact the game without fouling has what's really grown. Man, with him, I think first play of the game, JD got him, drove really hard, pump faked, and Kessler jumped. And, I think JD ended up missing it, but somebody tipped it in. But that didn't happen anymore the rest of the game. And, Kessler stayed on his feet, said, hey, I'm 7'1" with 7'4" wingspan. I don't have to jump at every single one. And multiple times you saw Shaq or JQ come in, stop and pump fake, and Kessler just, was 7'1" and just contested it. And, they would either kick out or try to go over him. And, he got 2 or 3 blocks on JQ on that. So, but even then, offensively, I know Alex harps on Wendell comes in with Dylan Cardwell, but man, that Kessler and Wynn on that pick and roll is just unbelievably dangerous. How, Wynn's able to find him and just throw it up. Once you see that big guy step up and commit to that point guard, it's just an easy lob it up and let Kessler, get the dunk. And even when he doesn't, he's usually getting that offensive rebound, tipping it out. So it's just what he's able to do to our team just changes our team completely when he's on the floor, offensively and defensively. So I'm with you, Al. We need to cherish what he brings to the defensive end. And, defense travels. At the end of the day, when come March, when you're needing stops, it's going to be nice to have him down there.
Well, like you were kind of saying earlier, Alex, something he did deny that I didn't know he had that in his tool bag was, how like he does play really well defense within a team concept, funnel it to him, block shots, change shots. But here was a couple of times where he was mano-a-mano, and I'm 7'1", I'm athletic enough to alter your shot and like just guarding somebody straight up man to man, like not within a team concept. And it was impressive. I think he got a couple of blocks. He got a block on Keon, and I'm pretty sure he got a block on it was somebody else, escapes me, but it was really impressive.
I'm not saying he is this guy, but there are some times that Anthony Davis is so good defensively because there's no advantage. There's no guard advantage. There's no big guy advantage. And I'm not saying he's that, but he has those kind of traits that come out in a college basketball game sometimes, that the guards aren't really at advantage going at him, and the bigs aren't at any advantage being tough with him, or they outweigh him or whatever. It's like, whatever. I'm 7'1", like y'all said. I could just stay back in time this sucker.
Agreed. And then credit to JQ and Shaq, because there's a few layups, floaters that they went right at Kessler, and was either a little floater or able to get around and finish. So I mean, that's tough. Shaq's not the biggest dude, and JQ's not that much bigger. So for those guys able to get 10 or so points or however many it was with Kessler contesting, that's impressive.
That's the thing, man. those two guards played about as well as they could, in my opinion. I mean, they were awesome. Like you said, just shot making outside. Well, Quinterly not so much, but Shaq shot making outside. But both of them finishing inside against Kessler. I mean, you can ask for much more than that.
You got to think, man. Nate Oates is asking a lot of those guys. I mean,
That's crazy.
you know, JQ was picking up full court, and I thought he did a good job. You know, kind of disrupting Wynn a little bit, but you know, for him picking up full court and really bringing it defensively, and then asking them to carry the load on offense as well. You know, that's a lot of load you're putting on your point guard.
I don't think that's possible. I think that's why their percentages went down a little bit in the second half. If you look at the end of the day, Quinterly shot 7 of 21. I mean, yeah, he had 20 points, and he played 35 minutes and played great defense on that stretch. But it was after, if you notice, when we went on that kind of run, and KD all of a sudden had better legs than everybody on the court because he hadn't been having to do all that. And Zep came in with some energy and really affected things for a little bit, even though he wasn't scoring. So, I mean, that's just the name of the game. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say Zep. I mean, that's our X factor in the guard rotation. Just throw him out there and just tire everybody out, you know.
Bleep that one out.
Cody's got everybody riled up. So let's since we kind of hit on basically all the players, I know we won't go too much longer. This is a little instant reaction, but we got to talk about the decision midway in the second half to switch to a zone. You know, it seemed like Alabama was coming out scoring every possession they had the ball in the second half, mostly Quinterly. He was cooking there for a little while. And then at some point, Auburn goes zone, and it wasn't perfect. They made a couple mistakes early in it. Ed was sitting over there looking at me like, are we really doing this? But it felt like that had to have made some impact in the game. What were y'all's thoughts on that? Did that surprise you? I mean, Bruce has been known to do that every now and then. I just think they had to change the momentum in some way because everything was just like downhill for Alabama over and over and over.
I agree. It didn't help. I think we were talking. It didn't help that we weren't for a stretch. We didn't get a bucket, and they were getting rebound and going, and you know, JQ was getting downhill. But yeah, I was like, man, I don't know about this, but you know, we knew where Shaq was, and we knew that JQ had the ball in his hands, and we're going to funnel you to our 7'1" center. And if you overload or reverse it quickly, we're going to live with a JD or a Rojas 3. And, you know, they just didn't make any of them. And then Kessler was able to get a block or two and really make it difficult. I think, you know, they were trying to bounce past it. We got our hands on it, a few steals, some momentum. So, I mean, that's hell of a adjustment by Bruce and then the team and whoever, you know, credit to whoever made that decision or gave him the idea. But I liked it. You know, we just knew where their shooters were and just made it difficult for the guards. So hell of an adjustment.
I think real quick, I think that's exactly right. The difference in Auburn, Alabama is like if Auburn had to play zone offense, then Jabari or Allen Flanagan's getting the ball in the middle and they're throwing a lob to Kessler, while Alabama was like having to get guards in there and then trying to bounce the ball to a baseline guy, and that just wasn't going to work.
Agreed.
And like Ed said, knowing they were just kind of sticking, and they were doing some overload stuff and running some different zone looks, but you can kind of keep an eye on Quinterly and Shackelford when you're in that zone even better than you can man and not let them beat you. I know it seems kind of weird to zone a team that had 14 threes, but they were 14 of 37. I mean, I think you can kind of live with that if you're Auburn, and no offensive rebounding threat, you know, nothing really going on right there.
Agreed.
Yeah, we have the defensive personnel to do it too. You know, active guards up front or out on the top, and then good enough play inside, you know, to secure rebounds and stuff like. Especially against in my opinion, a one-dimensional team as Alabama is, where the guard plays elite, and that's really all you have to worry about.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a different ball game where we were probably having a different discussion if a JD Davidson, you know, hits 2 or 3 threes, or a Darius Miles, you know, hits another 3. So, I mean, we kind of knew how they were playing and they weren't hitting shots. We stayed in it. We were able to kind of build a comfortable lead, and, you know, kind of take the air out of that run they went on. Basically, all I remember of that run is JQ was getting downhill, was getting floater after floater. So it's a good adjustment.
So we have to, before we go, the shout out to the walk-on Sobera. Is that his name? Sobera guy comes in. I'd never even seen him outside. I did notice a white guy in warm-ups getting up and dunking a few times, and I think it was this guy, Carter. Sabera from Birmingham. Not sure what high school. Like we said, probably another Mount Brook product because they're everywhere. But what about that and one to put the Tigers to 100 points? I don't know, Cody, if you could hear it on TV, but when he didn't shoot the three, everybody's like, shoot it. And like the possession going into it, the entire crowd was standing up going, three. Everybody wanted that 100 points. It just made for, I mean, it's just such an incredible atmosphere tonight. And then to cap it off with something fun like that. And the Alabama people are going to be mad saying, you know, we showed them up or whatever. And why aren't we acting like we've been there before? But that's why this whole thing is fun. It's because we're fun to play for. It's a fun. If your crowd is going to do all this stuff, then go celebrate with them. Like, show them that you're a part of the whole thing. I think that's the entire Auburn basketball package right now.
Cody, if you're a walk-on, you just hit an and one, you're at 99, and you got to hit that free throw to get to 100. Do you hit it? That's a lot of pressure, man.
I'd have shanked it.
No, absolutely not. I definitely don't hit that.
That's even more, you know.
0 out of 10 times I hit that shot.
Me too.
But I mean, that was I'm with you, Al. I get it. You know, people are gonna clown how much we celebrated and stuff. We're just having fun, you know. Bruce always says, like, talks about Jabari and this college experience, like, you know, he's gonna make friends that they're friendships for a lifetime, and they're gonna look back and, you know, look at these moments, and the students that are just like the basketball players are students as well. They're gonna remember this forever. So it's just fun, and I'm glad we do it. I think Bruce embraces it, you know, adds on to it. I love the brooms. They did it last year. I remember they had the brooms. So, you know, it's nice to get them back. And, you know, we'll hopefully, you know, we might see this team again, SEC tournament play. We may not. We'll see. But, you know, I like our chances.
Big picture question before we get out of here. Just looking forward. Have you seen anything in the last couple games that would make you worried about this Auburn team? Is there an area that scares you or a personnel issue in any way? Because I'm struggling to come up with much. I'm not saying we're a perfect team and we'll win, but I'm not seeing any massive area that's like, I don't know if we can win a game this way.
I think from the beginning, you know, KD and Wendell, you know, I mean, if you play a team like a Missouri who's just long and tall and athletic, you know, those guys struggle. You know, you see a lot of deep threes from Wynn and KD, and, you know, if you got a guy down low that can be athletic and contest shots and, you know, not be able to foul, you know, that just takes that dynamic away. But I mean, we're so deep, you know, you have a Jabari or Kessler that can impact the game too. So nothing to worry about. But, you know, we're going to run into an athletic team with long athletic guards. So it'll just be interesting to see how well we can adjust and play through that.
I mean, Auburn shot 5 of 21 from the 3-point line tonight, and we score 100 points. You know, that's incredible. There's not many Auburn teams in our lifetime that could do that. Cody, you see anything to worry about, or any areas that you would like to see Auburn improve, play a little bit better the next couple of weeks?
No, not really play better, but just kind of like team chemistry wise, you know, it's kind of hard, especially when you got the number one projected draft pick on your team, to give the ball to everybody to get shots up. And I kind of worry about, you know, team chemistry going forward. I take that back. I don't worry about it, but I could see that as a potential problem but I also see people like the Chris Moores or, you know, Stretch, people that have taken a back seat, and it seems like a complete team buy-in of, you know, accepting your role, accepting the amount of shots. You know, I think when Jabari got recruited, he knew that he wasn't going to average 25 points a game because he's coming to Auburn and there's going to be some decent talent around him, and he's going to be within a system. And I think that those type of players are on our roster. That being said, basketball is a very delicate sport, and, you know, there's a beauty of the art, you know, is everybody getting their shots, ball flowing around and stuff. I can, you know, maybe KD's feeling it too much one night and Jabari's getting pissed off, you know, because he's not getting enough shots. But that's, you know, that's way down the weeds. You got a good team when you're thinking about stuff like that. That's the way I look at it.
100%. I loved how they all backed each other up tonight. Got a little chippy a few times, and Jabari was stepping in for somebody, and Alan Flanagan was stepping in for somebody. You know, if you saw them celebrating in the crowd after the game, I mean, this team loves each other and they're all in. And I I think it's great leadership, and it's just going down the line. And it's going to be a special team.
Yep.
Agreed.
That's what I said in our group message. I said, I love this team. Y'all better appreciate it.
Well, let's don't drop one. Let's don't slow down. The Georgia Bulldogs could use another sweep on Saturday. So let's go get one more. But if y'all don't have anything else, we'll get together again soon. War Damn Eagle.
Where you go.
There you go.